Honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre, Minister for Planning, Economic Development and Investment and Acting Prime Minister. Honorable Johnson Drago, Minister for Agriculture. Chairman of the Aid Bank, other board members, and staff of the Aid Bank. Mrs. Francisca Pascal, Budget Controller. Members of the media. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are here this afternoon to witness the signing of an amendment to an agreement signed between the government of Dominica and the Aid Bank, through which concessionary financing was provided to the farmers of Dominica. At the time of the signing, two agreements, that is in August of 2016, two agreements were signed, one in support of the pork and poultry subsector and the other in support of other agriculture. With the passage of Hurricane Maria, government has determined that it will amend critical aspects of these agreements, namely the interest rate as well as the purpose. We are therefore happy to welcome you, those here and those listening via various media streams. Before we proceed with the signing, we will invite first the chairman of the Aid Bank, Mr. Martin Charles, to provide some remarks. Mr. Charles.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. And I also would like to recognize, first of all, the Minister McIntyre, who was the acting Prime Minister until the arrival of the Prime Minister today. So I cannot address him as acting Prime Minister. However, he's here representing the Honorable Prime Minister, and I would like to recognize Dr. Mark. I'd also like to recognize the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Drago, the FS in her capacity as chairperson, Mrs. Francisca Pascal, the Budget Controller. Also recognize the Acting General Manager of the Aid Bank and other members of staff of the Aid Bank. And to the media here present, good afternoon to all. First of all, I would like to say that the Aid Bank is very pleased once again that the government of Dominica has seen the need to provide some form of relief, this time to persons involved in agriculture. Post-Maria, many of you wrote to the bank asking for a reduction in your interest rates. Some of you wrote asking for a moratorium on your repayments. And so the government, in its wisdom, saw the need to provide you with a reduction in the interest rates. As I said during the signing ceremony of the manufacturers and tourism sectors, that a 1% reduction in the interest rate is significant. We at the Aid Bank, we are grateful that the government use its resources earned from the CBI program to place resources at the Aid Bank on lending to the productive sectors of manufacturing, tourism, and agriculture. And we, as the Development Bank, will continue to influence government's policies as it relates to providing economic prosperity for our citizens. And so we are pleased this afternoon to sign this amended agreement that will mean to a lot of farmers, they will be in a better position this Christmas to having added cash in their pockets. Because, for example, if your loan repayment was $200, a reduction of 1% in the interest rate can mean a savings for you of at least $50. So this $50, you can either use it to buy a ham or turkey for this Christmas, or you could use it to buy fertilizer to getting back your farm where it should be. And this is also passed on to those of you who are involved in pork and poultry production. So once again, on behalf of the Aid Bank, I thank the government for being so far-reaching in terms of providing the incentives and the creating this enabling environment for the productive sectors of our economy, that of manufacturing, tourism, and now agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. The Minister given the responsibility for the agriculture portfolio is Honorable Johnson Drago. I invite him to deliver some remarks.
Thank you very much, Financial Secretary Ms. Sis Edwards. Let me recognize in a very special way the Minister for Economic Planning and Investment, who is representing the Prime Minister here this afternoon, the Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Aid Bank, Mr. Martin Charles, the Acting Manager of the Aid Bank, who is here with us, the other officials of the Ministry of Finance, the media, and the listening public. Good afternoon. Of course, I'm pleased to be here this afternoon to share in this moment where the government, in its wisdom and in its preparation to assist in assisting the farmers who are a core component of providing for the GDP of this country, has taken a decision to reduce the interest rate of the facilities which we have established at the Aid Bank some 2 years ago, to reduce it from 2%, from 3% to 2%. As we are all fully aware, the agricultural sector took a heavy pounding from Maria. We saw the complete loss of 100% loss of our vegetables, 100% loss of all our crops, some 99% loss of our tree crops. The fishery sector took a beating as well. The livestock subsector took a beating. And coming out of Maria, the government and the ministry, we are looking at the emergence of a more resilient agriculture, catering for, we may never be able to prepare for Category 5, but we have to take measures to ensure that when disasters like Maria strike our country, we do not have this total loss, first of all, and we can get back on our feet much faster. So in this new vision, we are looking at better structures for our livestock. Especially we took a pounding not only during Maria in the pork sector, but after Maria, with most of our pigs being exposed, having lost the roof of their facilities and so on. Our pigs were exposed to the sun. So even those who survived Maria, we lost them quite a bit after Maria. So we'll be looking at this new vision for agriculture. Government is investing a lot of time. There are quite a few volunteers now working with us in the agriculture, persons who are seasoned in the agricultural sector, persons who were there during Hurricane David, who were part of the rebuilding effort during Hurricane David. They are presently working with the ministry and the government in looking at this new vision for the agricultural sector. But we must help the farmers in getting them back on their feet. So the reduction of the interest rate from 3% to 2% is very, very important to us in the industry. We are saying to the farmers that you should continue to take advantage of the facility at the Aid Bank. We were pleased with the number of farmers who took advantage of the facility when it was established. But this is an opportunity for an increased number of persons to go into agriculture. Rest assured, with Dominica not being commissioned on the market selling agricultural produce, the region is suffering. So not only Dominica is suffering due to lack of bananas and plantain and yams, the entire region who depend on Dominica, especially the islands in the north, who depend on Dominica for most of their produce, they are suffering. Of course, their countries filling in the blanks from Dominican Republic and Jamaica and so on. But no other country can beat the quality of agricultural produce that comes from Dominica. And everybody is waiting patiently for Dominica to get back on the market. As a matter of fact, last week I was at a meeting in St. Lucia, and there are new market emerging, but the OECS cannot take on these markets until Dominica is back producing and ready for the export market. So I want to congratulate the farmers out there who are responding, who have gone back to their field. Farmers are rapidly going back to their field. I want to congratulate the farmers for their response immediately after Maria, because when Maria struck, the first thing most of us had to think of was our homes, because everybody home was affected. But while the farmers were dealing with the challenges of their homes, they were rapidly planting vegetables, fast crops, to ensure that our market can look good. And there was never a total shortage of agricultural produce, especially the fast crop, the potatoes, the 3-month crops, the lettuce, the 6-week cucumbers. Our farmers responded rapidly, and if you go to the market for Christmas, you will get most of the vegetables you need, your celery, your parsley, your cucumber, you just name the fast crops, it's available. We will continue to support our farmers. I want to say to the farmers in the plantain and banana subsector that we are committed to assisting you. We have already given thousands of bags of fertilizers to our banana and plantain farmers in support of rebuilding the industry. Our farmers are rapidly replanting and cleaning and trimming and desuckering and so on. So we're seeing positive sign in the banana and plantain subsector. Our dashing farmers, they are back on planting. So we're looking forward to, within 8 months, supplying our traditional markets in the region and going back on to our markets in the United States and Great Britain. We have opened the abattoir. The abattoir is functioning. So we're already processing pork and poultry at the abattoir for this Christmas, this weekend. Look out for the truck. It's going to be in your area. You can get your pork and your chicken coming from the abattoir. In this new agreement, there is a special clause where we are providing funds for new establishment and re-establishment of both poultry and pig facility. So the farmers who lost their facility during Maria can go to the aid bank now, and they can get money for at as low as 2% to re-establish their facility. And farmers who are thinking of entering into the pork and poultry and pig business can go to the aid bank for the 2% facility, and they can get some funds for this as well. So we're excited within the Ministry of Agriculture. We'll continue to assist our farmers in moving forward. We're excited with the response of the farmers post-Maria, and we are saying to the Dominican community that support agriculture. We've seen finally that with the assistance we're preparing to give to the farmers, well over 6,000 farmers have come forward and register as farmers. We're excited about that. We will establish a proper database, and we'll be coming back to you, all of you, the farmers registered over the past couple of weeks, so that we can support you in becoming the formidable farmer that you would like to be, both as a commercial or large farmer or as a subsistent or small farmer. The ministry will give you that support. We'll be following you and we'll be working with you, so that it's possible that we can now get some 6,000 farmers actively involved in the industry, supporting and occupying all of the empty lands that we have out there. I can assure you, agriculture will make an even greater contribution to GDP. So I want to thank the Aid Bank for facilitating the process. I want to again thank the Prime Minister for his foresight, as always, in supporting the Ministry of Agriculture and supporting the sector. And I want to thank the Ministry of Finance for all the work it has been doing to support the sector. Let's continue to work hard to rebuild our beautiful country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for sharing your passion for agriculture. At this time, I invite Dr. the Honorable John Colin McIntyre, representing the Honorable Prime Minister, to deliver some remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair, our FS. Let me recognize the presence of my colleague minister, Honorable Johnson Drygo, the Minister of Agriculture, the Chairman of the Aid Bank, Mr. Martin Charles, Acting General Manager, the Budget Controller, Mrs. Pascal, staff of the Aid Bank, the media, the press. Good afternoon. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I'm excited to be here, of course, with another signing ceremony amending the agreement for the agricultural loan facility at the Aid Bank. You know definitely that this government has placed serious importance on agriculture, and that comes from the fact that a number of members of the cabinet, they themselves are farmers, and this is no joke. So no one can tell us about agriculture. We're in agriculture, we're part of it, and we know exactly what's going on. Today, we realize post-Maria the devastation as echoed by our Minister of Agriculture, and I must say I commend him for his passion. He has a serious passion for agriculture and did very well today in terms of presenting the overview, who makes it much easier for me in terms of just talking today and not having to go into details of agriculture, but just to say a few words on agriculture from the point of view that the government of Dominica seriously committed to agriculture. We place everything it takes in its hands to get money to the farmers. I urge the farmers to take advantage of this facility. Post-Maria, where we suffered 100% in mostly every single crop, you may have some remnants of tree crops left, but they're being battered. Unless we feed them properly, prune them, it'll take a few years to get back on target. Vegetables totally gone. Poultry, pigs gone. The elements of nature took care of the rest. I'm happy that we have a few more that we can slaughter to at least get some Christmas meat on the market. The minister's food basket, I'm not sure we're going to do that this year because I know you suffered quite a bit on your farm as well too in terms of the government farm. We're looking at the abattoir. The abattoir is functional as a great investment, a huge investment by the government of Dominica, and we'll continue to support it. But for the abattoir to become fully operational in terms of the throughput right now, we need the farmers, especially the pork and poultry farmers, to get back into this facility here at the Aid Bank. And don't be shy. Take advantage of it. It's an opportunity. 2%. Where would you have heard something like that? When I was a young man growing up, they used to have a facility at the National Bank. I think it was about 5%. I took advantage of it. That's how I was able to buy my cows and get some land to feed my cows. I have a little land today. And I was very young in those days. So I urge farmers, especially the young farmers, to take advantage of this opportunity. Maria, David, if you look at the intervals, 38 years, we don't really want another Maria very soon, I must admit. But these things don't pop up every single time. So when you have a 2%, and we're grateful from the source of the funds, much talked about CBI program. These are funds that we're using wisely to invest back in our people's hands. Let them take advantage of it to build the place. Now, yesterday I was speaking to a huckster/farmer, and he pointed out something that I think we should pay attention to. We have done well in terms of vegetables. We were able to get people out there, and not only subsistence farmers, commercial subsistence, and the basic house, backyard garden type or folks here. And everybody planted. So the first 3 months, which was the short term, we're back on stream with that. You can get your produce out there. We never really ran short of your yams, your dashing, your tanyas. But your yams, there'll be a little problem with your yams. And I want to urge our farmers listening to us today. The yams that we had close to maturation during the period of September when it was struck by Hurricane Maria, we harvested them. We could not consume all these yams on islands, so we had to send them to the French islands. So in terms of planting material, we have shipped a lot of our planting material out there. And if we don't try to hold back some of what we have here right now in terms of doing yam mini setting, making new plants, it would take a longer period to recover, maybe 2 to 3 years. So I want to urge our yam farmers, those of us who still have some yams that probably close to harvesting, we may, and the Ministry of Agriculture, we will as government, we would like to even purchase some of the yams and use any technique or mini setting to help to keep our planting material on island, because we have shipped quite a bit because of the opportunity that presented itself, so that's important. Dash-ins, a few days from now, we'll go to the following the moon, we'll go back to plant our yams or on the above ground and below ground, those of us who know about that. There's a lot of planting material in terms of yams and dash-ins, and we are doing well. That will be your mid-term crops. And more we continue to put on more of these mid-term crops. We'll be back on the market very soon. The points raised about the regional market, both OECS and beyond that, the shores, Dominica is integral in that. The quality of our produce is way up, as we know, and also the quality and the palatability of it from the point of view of volcanic soils and our techniques here. And we are still good in agriculture here, where we don't use so many of these agrochemicals. You know, we more go ahead with what you call safe food production. So I want to urge our farmers to use this money wisely, expand the production, and let's get out there again. And finally, before I leave here, I want to speak a little bit about the poultry industry. It's close to over 45 years we have not imported eggs in this island. And we saw what happened to us in Maria. They're totally flat. The money here from the aid bank and the reduced loans, I think, is ideal and opportune time such that our farmers can use that money and that low interest rate in terms of their build back better techniques to really put on some serious housing. We cannot build these basic foul houses that, you know, a little breeze and the thing is gone. We have to look at really investing in terms of resilience, because in terms of food security, one hurricane and we're totally flat. So we must build back better, and we have to use the money wisely. 2% ideal, such that we can put more money into the structures such that they can be more resilient. That's important. Using, of course, the building codes, of course, even for the poultry units and the pig units, we must look at building codes right now, because we cannot afford every period to just be building new buildings. It will affect us, and we cannot continue to be doing that on a continuous basis. So I'm saying we should use that money wisely, take advantage of it. And of course, we'll continue working in the Ministry of Agriculture and as well as government to look at best policy in terms of how we can get insurance into this program. Because, I mean, there's some forms of agricultural insurance, and we have to find the right mix in terms of, we have been trying the right mix in terms of how we can get our crops insured and our livestock insured to really help us moving forward. So with these few words, I would like to say I'm excited, and I urge our farmers to take full advantage of this opportunity. There's more coming for the farmers, and as we continue to unfold them, we'll talk to our farmers. But I'm happy to be here today representing the Prime Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister McIntyre. The specific amendments being made as follows. The agreement for pork and poultry, the interest rate will move from 3% to 2%, and the funds will be made available also for the re-establishment of poultry farms or poultry enterprises, as well as the re-establishment of pig and pork associated enterprises. In regard to the rest of agriculture, the interest rate will drop from 3% to 2%. At this time, I invite the chairman of the aid bank to do the signing. This brings to an end a short, but what we hope is a significant ceremony, and we trust that we will see the full impact of this occasion reflected in the produce that we see in our markets and being made available to our citizens and others in the Caribbean. Thank you, everyone, and a pleasant good afternoon.